See, you owe them twice now. Didn't know who the other.
The other is the accounting firm.
Oh, gotcha.
But otherwise, I think we have.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. It is 4:30. Call the Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Recording in progress.
Commissioner Bingle.
Here.
Commissioner Blackman. Commissioner Copeland.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Outlaw.
Here.
Commissioner Powell.
Got that?
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Reddick.
Here.
Commissioner Scott.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Ms. Bern, we have any public comments today?
Don't have any requests for any public comments today. No, sir.
Any staff comments?
No, sir. I don't think so.
I know some of you have been looking at the minutes, the rules, and if you have not, see if anything maybe brought your attention.
Read them, Mr. Chairman, and this is being in order based on our agenda. So I would like to make a motion that we accept the minutes as stated. They're in.
Oh.
They're in. Okay.
Is there a second?
I'll say.
All in favor of approving the minutes as published, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Just want to give you an update from a finance standpoint. As you all know, we've been in transition. We have assistance that's being provided from a consultant standpoint to do to keep our accounts payables and payroll and all of that stuff in order. Shay is on from BDO. If you all recall, I sent you an email from last week from Brian, one of the principals with BDO, to give you an update as it relates to BDO working with us to get our financials caught back up since Julianne's departure. They're working on that, as he indicated in his email. It's just taking them a little bit longer to get their hands around it than they originally expected, but they expect to have all the financials updated and update for our next board meeting. Shay, anything else to that you want to add from you all standpoint? Shay, did you hear me?
You speaking to me?
Yes.
Hello?
Shay?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I can't really hear, I couldn't hear anything really you said, it was going in and out.
Oh, okay, I was just sharing with the board from BDO's standpoint that Brian had indicated in his email last week that you all are, still getting your hands around,
Yeah, I don't know if it's just me, maybe I can try coming in and out of the meeting.
Hey Reggie, this is Fred Ford. I'm having trouble hearing as well.
Okay, let me come over here. Is that better? Can you hear me better? Do y'all hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay, so what I was sharing with you is, I was sharing with the board related to Brian's email last week, that you all are still getting full access to the system, that it was a little bit more.
Sounds like it's doing it again.
Yeah, it may be the connection for some reason. Well, in a nutshell, not to belabor the point, but that's the issue, is that the software that we have doesn't allow you to access it remotely. So what we had to do is send them a laptop so they can actually, it basically mirrors, they can see the computer as it is on the desk.
Couldn't they have done like a log line or something?
So the software system doesn't allow you to do that. So the firewall that's in the system doesn't allow you to do it. So basically what we had to do is send them a laptop, then they can log in as if they're actually on that particular desktop. So it's not where generally you could be able to access it, and so that's where the connectivity and issue came in. Now again, so I just want to be clear, that's not a New Bern Housing Authority issue, that's not a BDO issue, that is this software provider for our public housing software system doesn't allow us to be able to do it. It's not like in a cloud or something like that. It's actually, they're using a laptop to access that computer. And so if somebody else was trying to access it, more than one person can access that one computer at one time. So it's just basically a mirror of that. And so that's where the connectivity came in, but they have access to that now. We've gotten a laptop to them with everything on it, and they can be able to access it. So I just wanted to bring you all up to date. I'm gonna come over here so that way Jim can hear me better.
Do they have any comments they want to make?
Any other comments? Shay, can you hear me now?
She said it's still in and out for her.
Fred, do you hear me?
I don't think I did initially, Reggie. Sorry.
No, but did you hear me when I said, Fred, do you hear me?
I'm not hearing anything on my end.
Yeah, I was saying they just said it now. Commissioner Blackman said this.
Okay, just text, email them back through the message, and if they have questions
Or comments, yeah.
or comments, then they can email and can chat from that standpoint, so that way it's still a public meeting, so they can still communicate with us, so there's no issues there.
So executive director report, are you gonna?
Yeah. No, I just was just waiting from that standpoint. So, to give you all an update, as we continue to have discussion with the school district regarding the F.R. Dennis property, we had a meeting with the school district around the particular topic of that building. We kind of went back and forth. We explained to them, our architect, Fred Ford, did a report on the building. We had discussion with the school district regarding the cost related to the upfitting of that building and what we can do from that standpoint. Sabrina went to a meeting with me with the school system. We met with the superintendent, we met with the chair, and what is Stacy's Lee's position? Is he associate?
No, he's an associate superintendent, but he's like the director of buildings and grounds and buildings.
Okay, so we met with the three of them to present our findings and express our continued interest in the school. They were gonna go back to their committee as well as their attorney to see the process that we needed to go through in order for us to be able to acquire the building, make an offer on the building, work through some of those details. They came back and basically said, based on state law, no formal offer or anything like that was done. It was just a fact finding and presenting the facts to them. They came back to us and said, based on state law, that they have to sell the property at the appraised value. we recognized they had a old appraisal that was done on the building. Be very honest with you, we don't see the value in that old appraisal from the standpoint of an offer. However, they still would have to have a formal offer based on the appraised value. So part of my discussion with you all this evening is just to get approval from the board. I know you all authorized initially some funds for us to do the study. The benefit of it is the city, primarily did the phase one part and those kinds of things. But in order for us to move forward with further discussions with the county, with the school board, we need to get an appraisal done. And so tonight, I was just asking your permission to be able to contact a local appraisal and get an appraisal done, a formal appraisal done on the
I
building.
think you would find on that I'm gonna get to the residential market for a minute, not the commercial or industrial. If an appraiser were privy to a preliminary pre-check analysis of the integrity of and any and all dynamics of that older building, that would heavily influence an appraiser's opinion of value.
Okay.
Were you allowed to give them our findings of fact from our architect?
Well, I'm not the attorney here, I'm just saying that if there are critical structural issues or environmental issues associated with improvements like that, and the appraiser was privy to it, I'm sure that the depreciation methodology or the obsolescence factors would heavily be impacted on that. Now, if I appraise this building and I cursory walk through here and don't know what's behind that sheetrock, my scope of work is different than if somebody, which I didn't want, made me privy to stuff that I was exposed to, that I would then have to take into consideration.
Sure.
So, your attorneys can guide you on that, but I would tell you that, I would be very concerned about paying a lot for those improvements until somebody like us does what we're planning on doing to it.
Sure. And that was our take based on the value of not, Dana, we took it from the standpoint of the land value more so than the building.
Right.
Because of that finding. They then came back and that's when they said, we understand what you're saying. They were not in disagreement with that. It's just because of state law, we gotta be able to initially make an offer based on that appraisal, and because their last appraisal that was done was like, what, 2016 or something
Yeah,
like
it
that.
was prior to
So,
floods and
yeah,
everything like that.
so
It says
their
that
last
there.
appraisal is based off of that. They're having to use that number as the basis.
Well, but also the type of value, if you're getting an insurance value, it might be one thing.
Sure.
It's, so you need to define the scope of what type of appraisal you're looking for.
Right, and we would, from our standpoint, to answer your question, because we are, with your permission, we would be soliciting that appraisal. We would provide that appraiser with our findings based on our initial study of that building, and then, because we're not taking it to the bank to get financing, we're just taking it to get a value. So we're providing that appraisal with the findings of our architect, and then when they make the appraisal, it'll be based, inclusive of that information that you just said.
And some of y'all would remember the school up at Vanceboro, there was a group of citizens wanted to turn it into a community center. The one in Dover was that way. And Elder Marshall, which wound up, I think, was heavily influenced by the YMCA looking for an initial location. So all of these are work in progress type of contractual arrangements. So my concern about all this, I think it's a great idea. It was certainly improving the neighborhood, and I'm all for it. But, to go put a lot of money out there until we even know if we're talking a 99-year lease or a fee simple conveyance or whatever else, and a relevant range of what acquisition is going to be, involved.
Right, and they can't, so, and we had all of those discussions, based on lease, based on all those factors, that's when they came back and said, to even have further discussion based on state law, we initially need to have an appraisal, then we can have further discussions from there. So really, all I wanted to do is come back to the
Well, yeah.
board and get y'all a blessing to at least go ahead and get an appraisal.
The most recent situation like this is the school in Bridgeton. And that's been ongoing, and I think they use for storage, and here again, the local community wants the land, and I don't think care much about building,
So
so.
you just need from us to, give you permission to go ahead and move forward.
Yeah, we're just getting an appraisal done. It doesn't have to be a formal resolution,
Yeah.
it's just, I just,
You don't need a
kinda-
motion or?
Yeah, you'll need a
Or you
motion.
do?
Yeah, I need a
Okay,
motion.
I make a motion that grant, we give permission to move forward with the appraisal for F.R. Daniels.
Second. All in favor of giving,
Alright. Oh, I'm sorry.
giving Reggie permission to move forward with appraisal, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All
Sabrina, were
opposed?
you the
Before they
second?
have a chance
Oh,
to-
Denise, okay.
On the effort ends.
Thank
We
you.
give permission to give an appraisal to the board members. I just wanna make sure
You
that,
fine?
since they're saying they're having trouble here, so.
Yeah, something's the matter with our audio, obviously.
And that's to Commissioner Copeland's complaint. Cause Jim heard us fine.
Yeah,
Then
originally,
he
yeah.
came back and said he was having difficulty.
Oh, okay.
So did,
So I don't know when other people got on, cause before that,
Yeah, and the mayor was on, he texted me that he went off because couldn't hear anything.
couldn't hear anything. Okay.
Next item.
Did we, y'all
Yes.
carried it,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to make sure they
We
were.
appreciate you.
So from SHPO's standpoint, what I want to, I've had several discussions. We even had one with our consultant. What I'd like to be able to do is have a discussion with the mayor, city manager, other local officials, our legislative delegation. So just to kind of bring some clarity, so currently, SHPO denied our application for demolition until the master plan is done, okay? So we had some, and because SHPO won't approve it, FEMA won't approve it. But if you recall, we went through all of this, that's when FEMA gave us the money back in December to do the master plan, because it takes a full master plan in order to put that together to get to the demolition stage. So my argument then and continues to be, but at this point I want, with the board support, I want to employ all of our local legislative delegation and political power that we have from a community standpoint to get support, because we know that from the river all the way up to Walt Bellamy, those buildings, the old admin building, those buildings on Front Street that backs Walt Bellamy, that faces Front Street, the buildings down by the playground area that's still on the water side of Walt Bellamy, all of that, when demolished, will always be green space, okay? So it will never, ever have buildings back on that. So the master plan that we will put in place whenever, today and 9 months from now, will always have green space in that particular area. I want to be able to demonstrate to the community, we're trying to do everything we can to get these buildings down. Now, while we can't do anything with the other buildings right now, because that would be a part of the master plan area of where housing would go back. However, the part what will always be green space once those buildings are taken down. My argument and contention is, we already know what that master plan is today. There is no buildings ever going back on that land. So I want to get your support where we can get our senator, our state rep, the alderman, the mayor, and everybody, where we can collectively work together. Because SHPO is the deciding factor. FEMA is not going to, we've gotten approval from the local Historic Preservation Commission to do demolition. So they've signed off on it. We had 1 year from the time they gave us the approval to do the demolition. Well, they sent me a letter because our approval is coming up in September, at the end of September. So they can give a 1 year extension by statute. So I submitted that to Matt. Matt has signed back and indicated we got the 1 year extension. So the approval we got from so all of these things are counterproductive to some ways. So we got the approval from local historic preservation, but we can't get SHPO to move off of it until the master plan is done. So my argument is, we need to get SHPO with local support and the governor's, whether it's state legislature, governor's office, whomever, I'm just talking to you all, we need to get the support to push for the part that's always now and forevermore going to be green space. We have the plans, we have everything that we need. Fred has completed all of that. We've submitted that to SHPO before, we've submitted that to FEMA before, but because they wanted this master plan, what we're basically saying now is, let's take the plan that we've submitted and take the part of the green space and make that phase 1, and then come back and make where the other building's phase 2, and let us at least go ahead and demolish the buildings where the green space will be. And then that shows the community since 2019, that shows the community since 2019 that we as the housing authority are trying to do everything we possibly can to remove this eyesore in the community of these buildings just sitting here. And at least the buildings that's just sitting there are gonna be green space. Why not allow us to go ahead and do that? SHPO says no because they wanna see what you plan to put back because it's in a historic district. But we're not putting anything back on that particular land. So that's why I wanna go back and ask for it to be broken up.
You may have to
into
submit, like,
multiple.
when they say green space, it's gotta be landscape, whereas you're probably gonna have to submit.
We already got all of those plans, we got everything, so, but again, is,
Because in the guidelines, it asks for that.
we have, Fred has all of that,
Okay.
we have, to your point, Sabrina, you're right on target. We have all of those things, we provided that previous as part of that, but because it's not as much for SHPO, because it's in a historic district, they wanna know what you plan to put back than necessarily just simply what you're gonna tear down. Well, we know in this
I don't understand how
particular
the
case.
local, because the local is based off of SHPO. To me, that seems kind of wonky, because if the local approves it, and they approved it based on, we have to come back with submittals anyway.
Yep.
And we said to them, green space, I was there, they accepted that, they approved it, and it was submitted.
So
I don't
originally,
understand why SHPO doesn't.
and so the irony of it is, to your point, originally, what SHPO said is, we are not going to act until you get approval from the local historic preservation commission. And then we went back and got permission from the local historic preservation commission. We sent that, but then that's when they came back with, well, now we won't approve it until you can submit the full-blown master plan. They conferred with FEMA, FEMA agreed with them until we provide that. That's how we got the money for FEMA for the master plan. But I'm just sharing with you all, our argument at this point is, at least let us just tear down the buildings that are in the footprint that's gonna be green space.
This is my opinion based on political dealings with the state. Because SHPO is part of the Department of Cultural Resources, which is under Secretary Reed, who is that is the Secretary of Cultural and Natural Resources. And they are governed by the governor. My take would be is to get the mayor and the alderman, the mayor and city manager, whoever you want to do, to contact the governor's office or his representative, and then through the governor's office, try to set up an appointment with the Secretary of Cultural and Natural Resources and start there. Because really, bringing in our state senator or our state legislator, they don't necessarily have that power, because it's really delegated through the governor's office. Because the secretary would say, you know, sit down with SHPO and say, what's your deal here?
No, I agree, but
At this point, I mean, I would try that, that would be step one.
Yeah, I guess my past experiences in life have always been, I contact the governor's office without my state senator and legislative person advocating for us. It falls on deaf ears.
Oh, we got two different
No,
parties.
Yeah.
And that
So-
may be, that, I don't know if that's
Yeah,
an issue or not.
and I'm not from North Carolina, so I'm just
Yeah.
sharing my previous experiences so I'll go off of y'all recommendation, but that's kind of where we are.
How do you feel, Dane, you've been in this?
Well, I mean, those days, if William Wainwright was still around and Tony Rand from Fayetteville, I know what I would do.
You caught that, okay.
Because Tony Rand was equally as involved in the new center, the history center, as William Wainwright was, but that was on the Senate side, and William was on the House side. This is why I've mentioned several times, getting a lobbyist that knows.
Go ahead, I'm just telling you, just use your phone and call Zoom and connect it with your phone as well. And it should, that way, you should be able to hear.
There's probably a state senator and a House member that probably are not in our area that have more persuasive ability with SHPO than anybody else. So how long before the master plan is gonna be completed?
Well, the master plan is gonna that's what we talked about last week. It's gonna take about a 9-month period of time
Well,
to do, but the green space is ready today.
You know, you put the local delegation in a pickle that there are so many moving parts to this, and there's been so many delays. And I think unless you get somebody on state level from the House or the Senate that has the persuasive ability, and a lot of times these lobbying groups, they cover the bases on both sides of the pancake. I think you're cutting to the chase for the mental health of our citizens in New Bern and for the betterment of the New Bern Housing Authority. It would be money well spent to get an expert that knows how to navigate these treacherous waters.
So we cannot use our funds to pay for lobbyists.
I'm sorry.
You know who I might think about talking to, and I don't know, but I wonder if Mary Jo Alco would assist us. She was the governor's local representative here.
Yeah, interesting. PJ Conley is now.
Oh, okay.
He took Mary Jo's place.
Oh, he did,
Yep.
okay. So somebody like that we have relationships
Okay.
with or whatever works for the governor's office. And again, I'm just thinking if we start there and then if we need to bring firepower when we do, I am concerned like Dana that our local delegation might not have the wherewithal to push the governor's office or to push something. Certainly we need that support, but I don't know. I think that's how I would at least start it and try.
And I think if you're gonna do the local delegation, you've got to have some parameters of what you're trying to do. Like if you are totally trying to segregate out the 214 replacement units or whatever that hybrid number is gonna be with the new affordable rate, market rate kind of model, then you're gonna have to make some defining decisions as to what it appears you're talking about the Walt Bellamy, Lawson Creek side of the,
Yes.
and
Just the green
you need to
space.
define it, because all these legislators are gonna all have a different,
We had all of that
Interpretation.
done. Yeah, all of that's done. I mean, it's defined, the report is there, the request is there. I mean, the master plan as it relates to the green space, the type of trees, markers, all of that is complete. It's just ultimately getting them to sign off on.
so you basically asking SHPO to waive it by way of the green space is the only thing you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Correct.
And let us at least tear the buildings
But I can tell you
down.
what's gonna come up. It's gonna come up. Well, we wanna know just cursory, are you gonna totally demolish all tree court or the flooded area?
We've had, no,
That's coming up.
Yeah, and we've had that discussion with them, and they know that. They're just, again, the issue for the master plan is not the demolition at this point. The issue is what's going back. And what I'm just trying to say is, we've crossed a hurdle with them as it relates to the demolition part. They wanna know what's the master plan to go back. And all I'm just trying to say is the portion from Lawson's Creek to Walt Bellamy is gonna be forevermore green space. So at least let's carve that out as phase one, cause now we can, to your point, we can share with you, that part is just gonna be green space forever, and then come back for phase two as relates, cause to your other point, all we're talking about right now is 108 units, plus the admin building, which makes it 13 buildings. That's all we're talking about right now. We can't get into the remaining 110 because we gotta cross for lack of a better word, we gotta cross the bridge first on the flood damage units to get that approval done before we can even go to what is currently still occupied. Now, to Dana's point, what they've said is, because prior to me coming and prior to you all on the board, what transpired was there were two applications that went in the HUD. One went in the HUD for the admin building and the 108 units for demolition. One went in the HUD for preliminary application for the remaining 110 units. So what SHPO said, you're right, what SHPO said is, because now you have indicated that your intent is to demolish the 110 also, we want that master plan to be inclusive, which we agree. So now really what we're talking about is phase one, which is the green space, phase two, which is the phase one is the green space approval from SHPO. Phase two would be where those remaining units that are outside of the Walt Bellamy, but still was a part of the flood damage units. And then phase three, which would go with phase two, would be the master plan for the redevelopment, which we won't have for 9 months. That's why I at least want to try to get the Lawson's Creek to Walt Bellamy demolished.
Well, look, I support you any way you wanna be supportive. I think that the time element of what you're thinking about doing is probably about like the completion of the master plan. I don't think what you want to do is gonna get done in 30 days. I know how sausage making works, and I don't think you're gonna get that done anywhere. But if that's what you wanna do.
No, it's up to you all. I'm just bringing, because we constantly get calls from, I get somebody come wanting to see me every week that are from New Bern, not from New Bern, interested parties that want to know, when are we gonna demolish?
Okay, is there any way we can speed up the master plan?
And you know what,
No.
you know who else will help us? I forgot about this, but she's called me as well, is Bev Purdue. She has called me, as a matter of fact. She's called me and I've seen her, and I'm happy to ask her. She said if there's anything she can do to help, maybe she has a connection.
Well, why don't we call those people,
PJ
those
Condon,
two
yes.
first,
And see what we
then
can
see
do.
what they say.
How's
But
that
I
sound?
understand exactly what you're saying, it could take more than 9 months, we looking for something. How soon do we need this approved? Let me ask that.
Well, it's, so hear me,
I got a year.
I'm not under a time frame. I'm bringing to the board as your interim executive director, what you
What the
all
circumstances are.
want, what the community constantly asks for, and I'm just looking for ways and alternatives to expedite the process a little bit better than where we are with SHPO, FEMA, and the master plan process. And if we could do it where we can get a portion of it done, doesn't matter to me if it takes us 5 months or the full 9 months. I'm just trying to adhere to requests that I'm constantly getting of people asking. It's an eyesore. It's, for us, it's a constant of keeping up, the doors locked, the windows, people, you know,
Safety hazard.
safety issues, all of those kinds of things. I
Well, maybe you
mean,
need to give them SHPO's number.
Yeah.
That's how I roll. Here's their number, why don't you call them?
So, Mayor Purdue, and who was that, PJ?
Connolly.
We'll try PJ first and see, because that's the governor's representative
Okay.
here, Eastern
Person,
Office.
yeah.
Happy to make the phone call and see
I
what he
don't know
says.
him.
He just
He's
took
in
over.
Greenville.
Yeah, he's in Green, he
Oh,
was the
he's-
mayor,
okay.
wasn't he the mayor?
He was mayor.
He was the mayor of Greenville.
I'm sure, Phil.
That was Alan.
That was Alan Thomas.
Alan
Oh.
Thomas. He came in after
Yeah, he
Alan.
was after Alan.
Okay.
okay,
I do too, I agree with you, because we gotta take it,
You gotta
gotta
start
bite that
somewhere.
elephant one piece at a time.
well, we'll, I just wanted to bring that, so, again, if we work on it collectively, we can, if you all choose not to, I just wanted to see what we can do to help expedite it, but I know at this point, the limited resources and contacts the Housing Authority and the Housing Authority staff have, we've exhausted our political might. As I've always said, you all are board members because of those community contacts and relationships, and so I'm bringing it to you guys to see how you can facilitate or help. And again, as the mayor said, as Dana indicated, it may take the full 9 months. I don't know, but
Gotta try something at this point.
I'm just bringing it to
We've
you
been kicking that
guys.
can down the road for 6 years now.
Yeah. Okay, the next thing is I just wanted to bring your attention, we had, and I attended with Mosaic, we had a meeting with the Carolina Avenue leadership of Mosaic as it relates to, because our co-ownership of Carolina Avenue, so we had what they call a shareholder meeting. It's just 3 people, the asset manager, myself, and the president of Mosaic. The meeting is in your packet with the proposed budgets and the financials, so I wanted to provide that information to you all. And so the SHPO Trent Court and the Trent Court Green Space is the same. So just, we've talked about that. So unless you have any other questions, Mr. Chair, that covers my report.
Anybody comments, any questions? Ms. Barr?
We gonna get this done in less than 9 months.
Yeah,
Yep.
I agree with you. I'm mad at death.
So I don't think it should be a bad idea to, with the local people you were talking about, go
Start
ahead,
there.
move in that space. Trent Court, what's it, New Bern Towers report, Lee?
Pam, Commissioner Bingham had a question, so.
I can't, bless you, but you know me, I try to back into the numbers.
It's okay.
Last month, we had, let me get the right place. Get to Trent Court. So, we got 110 units.
Yes.
105 were occupied, so you had a total of 5 vacant. Then your report for this month, let me just get to that page.
Is that for July 2024? The monthly report for July 2024?
Yeah, maybe, am I missing one? Is that the problem?
Mine's have 110.
Oh, wait a minute,
occupied,
let's see, no,
104.
July, yeah, I'm sorry. You had 2 in that packet, 110, 104.6. Maybe that's where. Okay. So then you're down to you have 107 units occupied, but you had 4 move in. So if you had, and you had no move out, so if you had 104 occupied and you had 4 move in, wouldn't that be 108?
Okay, so people did not move in. 4 moved in, so I had a vacancy of 100, I had a vacancy of 6. So that means 2 was left out of the 6. So when 4 moved in, I had 2 vacancies that was left. And what it is, based off in this report, okay, the move-in is gonna reflect from that whole month.
Right.
So when, like this month came in, let me see, I had 3 vacancies because I had 4 move-ins. Sometimes it's, like I said, 4 move-ins, and I get all my information from the vacancy law, control law.
Yeah,
So-
but what she's asking, forget the law for a minute,
Okay.
it's just simple math. So her question is, if you have 107 occupied out of the 110,
I should
But
have,
the month before, you had 104, you should really have 108 that's occupied, not 107.
if I had 6 vacancies, right? Is
You had
that
6
the question?
vacancies, but you had, that was at the end of the month. Then at the end of July, you had 6 vacancies, 104 units occupied. So then you're saying in August, you had 4 units move in. So that means you would have had 108 units occupied, not 107, because you had nobody move out. You see what I'm talking about?
No, ma'am, I don't.
No, well, on your report, do you see? So if you look at your report on Trent Court for August 2024, you see at
I
the
see
top,
that.
110 units, 107 occupied. But it says that she had 4 move in. So at the end of July last year, she had last month, she had 104 occupied. So if you had 104 occupied, and then the next month you had 4 move in, wouldn't that make 108? Not 107.
Okay, 100.
I don't know, that's what I just wanted to clarify that. And then the other question I had for you, Pam, see the requests, you received
Which
100,
one?
oh, down at the bottom for,
Work orders.
Which
work
one?
orders, on the same,
For
on
August.
August, I'm
August.
sorry.
Okay.
And you received 151 requests, and you completed 78. Well, shouldn't there be any pending, because there's a difference of.
73.
It's
Okay.
on the above, it's right above it, it says work orders outstanding request.
Oh, I see, it's not in
73.
pending
It's not in
repair, pending
repair.
report, okay, I see that, now I do. I didn't see it as part of them, thank you. And that was my only question.
Okay,
Thank you.
it's okay.
and Tasha's out today, so we,
Problem. So we're just, you know,
Okay.
whatever is easiest.
okay.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna just sit here because I don't miss my doctor's appointment, so I'm gonna just sit here.
Oh, no.
All right.
It's okay. I'm gonna sit right here.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean for it.
No, it's
No,
okay.
no, no, she's scheduled to be at the board meetings just in case, so.
Okay,
I'm fine.
okay. Never want you to do anything like that.
Any comments on the Ross, was there any without Tasha, we're good with?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And the Ross, just to let you all know, we are submitting at the end of this month the Ross application for renewal for that program. So we are submitting that application, and we're working on it now with the consultants to submit by the end of the month. And so hopefully we'll receive funding for multiple years on that application as well.
resolutions.
Okay. So what we're asking, we went out for bid on phase one of the Charles Taylor building. So Charles Taylor renovation is broken into two phases. One is the demolition of the when I say building, the interior demolition, taking the walls down, cleaning it up, doing all of those things. That's phase one. And then phase two, which is the bigger project, would be bidding out the renovation work itself. So this is just phase one. We've done this 3 times. So the first time we did it, we received no bidders. Second time we did it, now let me go back. We had a pre-bid conference, 4 or 5 contractors showed up. Because a lot of people got work right now, nobody, because it was kind of considered a small job, nobody bid it. We went back out again, we bidded it. We got 3 respondents during that period of time. However, the time frame for FEMA to approve the funding and the time frame of the bids expired. So we had to go back out for bid again. We had 7 contractors show up for the pre-bid and only 1 responded. We're comfortable, we've talked to FEMA, we're comfortable in moving forward with the 1 bidder. There are no requirements that we have to wait on multiple bidders because we've done everything we were supposed to do, and we had 7 contractors show up at the pre-bid, did the walkthrough, all of those things. And so what we're asking for tonight is your approval for the resolution to approve the contractor for us to enter into a contract with the low, and the low is, generally we go with the low bidder, but in this case, it's 1 bidder. So who is the low bidder?
I haven't been in that building in a while, but I know 3 or 4 years ago, some of us went through it, and as I recall at the time, it had been gutted down to studs.
Yeah.
And bottom plates, top plates. So what all do you get for $107,000? Are you gonna totally rip all framing out except for the support columns?
So they have to do this, so we gotta do the environmental cleaning and all of those factors as well. And I'll be happy to provide you all with a copy of the scope of the work. I don't have it in front of me, but I'll be happy to provide you with
So
the scope of
the
the work.
asbestos abatement's not been completed?
Well, I just wanna make sure all of the environmental, so I'm just trying to answer your question.
Yeah.
We have to make sure all of the environmental, you asked what was gonna be included. We gotta make sure all of the environmental is done, as well as everything else that needs to be included based on the scope that the architect put in, and I can provide that to you all for your review.
Yeah, I just guess for $107,000, you must be taking some of those framing walls
Yeah.
out.
Well, Fred is on, but I know you couldn't hear him. Fred, do you hear us still or no?
Just ask him to give us just a concise, succinct amount of, what's gonna happen there.
Can we call him?
Yeah, I mean, email him. But I don't want to belabor it, but I'm just curious. I thought it was, I guess depending on what you were ever gonna do back with the building, I'm sure the way it is framed right now is probably, it doesn't have anything to do with what the architect's gonna do.
Is the question for him to give us his take on the demo?
Just a little background, a little enumeration on what's, yeah. I don't want to hold a meeting up, I was just asking. It's, if he responds, fine. If he doesn't, let's move on.
He must be on his phone.
He's on.
Yeah, I'm saying he must be on his phone. Fred, can you hear us at all?
Just direct message him.
But either way, I'll send you all a copy of the,
While we're waiting on that, so in the next 30 days before our next meeting, just so that every day counts, what are we gonna do on what we talked about earlier? A couple people gonna get up with PJ
Oh,
and
yes, sir.
Beverly.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
Commissioner Bingle said that she was gonna do that.
hey Fred, from the RFP for the work that's gonna be done, one of the commissioners wanted to just a quick summary of the work that we bidded out that needs to be done in the Charles Taylor building. Can you give them a quick overview? I got you on speakerphone.
He can come on.
Okay. And sorry about, I don't know what's going on. with
It's
the
okay,
connection.
just go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so what we have covered in the scope of work is basically gutting out and cleaning or removing the existing remaining construction that's not significant to the phase 2 renovation portion. As you guys know, the building's been vacant since about 2015, 2016, somewhere in there. And so there's a lot of insulation. Excuse me one second. I need to shut my Zoom off so I'm not getting feedback here, Reggie. Hold on.
Okay.
Let's be talking about ceiling insulation, because I didn't think there was any wall insulation left.
Okay, can you all hear me okay?
Yeah, we hear you fine.
Okay. All right, so there's a lot of existing insulation. There's areas of ductwork, drop ceiling materials, framing. There's some asbestos-containing materials in there. And so we're wanting to get all of that cleaned out so that we can basically go in with our structural engineer and ourselves and the environmental consultant to review the existing conditions in the building. In some areas, there's obvious areas of rot and damage from water intrusion over the years. We've got some visible areas of mold that will need to be addressed. And so we're basically wanting to peel back all the existing construction that's remaining in there so we have a clean shell of framing that we can assess and address in the phase 2 construction documents so that we're not surprised when we get things, torn apart and then, potentially have a larger issue than what we'd expect.
Okay.
You still don't know why it's gonna cost
That's-
$107,000.
It's 107 to figure out if you need to spend another 107 on
About
something.
probably another $500,000. We can do that. That I don't know. I just know the cost of constructions, and especially abatement of asbestos. I don't know what that involves. I mean, you know that better than I do, but I know it's expensive.
I'm not here to spoil the party. I'm just here.
Well,
Okay.
part of the issue, and
Can't
Fred,
get
you
anybody
correct me if I'm
bid.
wrong, part of the
Yeah.
issue of the bids is because of this bidder bid it before, and his price this time is lower than what he had bid it previous. But part of the issue, from the previous bidders is, and the concern that Fred shared is, it's a small job for people, and
Oh,
and even at $107,000, it's a small job for those contractors that are qualified to do this kind of work, and they got more work to do than what they know to do with, and so, so we did get this one bidder. But I do have to have your approval, by resolution in order to sign the contract, if you so desire.
So moved. Let's move it along.
You
all right?
Let's get it done.
So we're going to,
Basically, Reggie, we've effectively got to do this work, and if it were to defer to the phase 2, for example, all of this work's got to be done so that the reconstruction of the interior can happen. It's just that we're pulling it forward so that we, as designers and engineers, can better assess the building in its current condition and plan for it in the phase 2 design.
Yeah, I understand. I just wanted we had questions, and so I wanted them to be able, for you to be able to articulate to them what we're doing and why. Any more questions?
Entertain a
You got a
motion.
motion, I think that's.
I don't have to read the
Second.
resolution.
Fred, I'm good, thank you, sir.
I mean, we've been and talked about this for years, and, you know, it has been talked about just demolishing and starting from scratch. And we're at this point where I think for moving football forward, you know, we probably just need to keep on with this, but I still in the back of my mind continue to think that if you spent 107 on it, you know, what would just total demolition cost and by engineer brand new building like utility do, but
I don't think it's gonna be 107.
no, it won't be, but there's more to come, but
Oh, yes.
But
A
SHPO
couple
might think it's a
questions.
pretty building that we need to keep.
well, if that be the case, but I
Yeah, you would
don't.
have had it before HPC.
Yeah,
Okay.
HPC
Oh, I
and.
understand, all that.
All in favor of approving resolution number 09.24.01, phase one of Charles Taylor Building renovation project, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Is there see a yes, did you, I can't see, I can't read it from back here.
Mr. Jim said yes.
Okay.
I said that in the chat, sorry.
Thank you,
Me here.
thank you.
I don't know, that's true.
I just have been texting him.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Next one, Chair. What we want to do is, you all approved this before, we put it out for bid. Now that we have CBR on board, we made some modifications to it. They will assist me with soliciting nationally co-developers for the redevelopment and the master plan. And so we want to put that back on the street. Y'all approved this before. It's just basically an updated version of the RFP to do a co-developer. So since we have CBRs to help us with the grant writing and the master planning, now we got to select a co-developer for the redevelopment. That's what this is.
So I make a motion that we approve, resolution 09.24.02.
Second.
All in favor of approving resolution number 09.24.02, development partner RFQ, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay, last resolution,
Mr. Jim said aye also.
Yes, got him, thank you.
last resolution is to request approval. We have gone through all 8 floors of the towers. There's a lot of stuff there. So in the storage rooms, in the community rooms, that couldn't be used because storage was there, we have gone through and completely cleaned out every room, storage room and community space in the towers. This is access, old appliances, everything from video, digital recorders. We've written the serial numbers down. We have all of that information. It's unusable, it's old, but we just cannot throw it away without a board resolution. So I'm bringing this to you all for approval with the serial numbers. We will solicit bids, solicitation for people that may be willing to buy it before we discard it. But so the approval is for you all to write it off, to approve me to bid it out, and then once we bid it out, and if somebody takes it, then they'll pay for it. If not, then we'll discard it at the landfill or wherever we'll accept it. But we need your approval to get rid of it.
I make a motion that we approve resolution number 09.24.03.
Second.
All in favor of approving resolution 09.24.03,
Aye.
to sell the surplus items, signify by saying aye.
All right, Jim.
All opposed?
Okay.
We have,
closed session.
Have closed
Yeah, it
session?
won't take long,
Okay.
and there's no action, so Steve.
I make a motion that we go into closed session pursuant to section one.
114.11A6.
Okay, thank you. Personnel. Discuss personnel.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?